right, welcome to the Gentleman Badass podcast. We have got a special session for you today. Mick and I are up early. Not really early for us. We're usually up this early. But it's, currently 6:10 a.m. here in the United States. But we were on WhatsApp with Ireland and with Owen Roddy, who is a gym owner, a striking coach, and all-around good guy. So we're going to talk to a little bit about him, about fighting, and really see kind of where else this goes. So, Owen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure, guys. Great to be on. Great to be sitting down. Sorry you had to get up so early, but I appreciate it.
No, we're usually in here by now. Our hours are long over here, but we're usually in the gym around 6 and then leave around 8 p.m.
Yep, that's the life.
But it's better than working a real job.
Yeah. Well, we could be doing worse, guys. We could be doing a job that we don't love. So
exactly.
But we're doing okay.
Yeah. So with all of our guests, we kind of like to start just with a background to kind of get an idea where you came from. Give us a little bit of your growing up, what you're like in school as a kid, anything like that.
Yep. Yeah. Well, obviously, I grew up where Mick grew up in a small little town in Dublin called Ballymun. It would be known for being a kind of a rough place to grow up. I went to the comprehensive school. Mick, did you go to the comprehensive?
Yeah, that's where I went. Yeah.
So I went to the comprehensive school, and I was okay in school. Like, I got my leaving cert. I always remember one thing. My PE teacher, Paddy O'Reilly, always said to me, he says, "Owen, you need to find the sport and stick with it. As sports is where you're going to find your path." And something that stuck with me as a kid. Like, I grew up with a gang of lads on one side of Ballymun, and we were constantly fighting with another gang of guys on the other side of Ballymun. And this is what kind of went on where I was growing up. But that one thing stuck in my mind. Find a sport. I played football for a team called Ballymun United for about 5 or 6 years. It was pretty decent.
My old man actually started Ballymun United.
What?
Yeah, he was one of the original founders of Ballymun United. My dad was in later life he was a ref. He was an FAI official, but he actually helped start Ballymun United.
Yeah, but there you go, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I played for Ballymun United, and we did very well. I think we won the league 5 years in a row. And I was decent. I was good. Player of the year, Players Player of the Year, and stuff like that. I was always interested in martial arts, but my brother was brown belt in Shotokan karate, and I did that for a couple of months or whatever. And I found a group of lads, girls, and I took a year or two. I stopped playing football, hung around for a while, hung around the flats, got up to some mischief, nothing too major. But and then when I was 18, I found a VHS tape of UFC 1 and took me on a roller coaster.
Awesome. What was so you said you kind of started with Shotokan karate. After that, what martial arts did you start training?
So nothing. I did Shotokan like on and off, only for a couple of months, just because my brother was doing it, and he's like, "Come on down." I've 3 older brothers. I'm the youngest of 7 in my house. So and I'm the youngest in the house. So my oldest brother now was like, "Come down and try it." And my brother John was doing it for a while, and I did it, but it kind of fizzled out. We couldn't. Just probably more so being a bit lazy, trying to get down to. It was on in Coolock, and I'm from Ballymun. Just I was a kid. I didn't really want to be getting buses and stuff. Then I was playing football. I got bored of football. But then I just not that I went off the rail, but I became a teenager and just did what teenagers do. And then I was looking for something. I was always interested in martial arts. I watched every martial arts movie you can think of. When I seen that UFC 1, that was it. That was an eye opener.
Awesome. So did you start jiu-jitsu then after watching that video, or Muay Thai, or what did you start with?
Yeah, well, so I went looking, and it wasn't being done. Mick had left the country. He was gone. He left us all. So I went searching for it, and I was looking in the papers to see if anyone did it, and I couldn't find it. And by chance, I was still in school. I was in my last year in school, and I looked in the school hall, And there was this guy doing arm bars and showing the kids how to do arm bars and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I've been looking for this. Where can I do it? And it was actually Andy Ryan from Team Rhino.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, yeah, I said, Andy, I went there trying to be cool and all. Oh, yeah, I know that stuff like that. And he's like, oh, yeah. Well, come down to Colester on Saturday and we'll see how you get on. I was like, lovely, I'll get down. Just jumped on my push bike, flew down, and I walked into the door, and Andy Ryan, Dave Roach, Dave Jones, you know these boys.
The Godfathers, yeah.
The Godfathers, exactly. John was there, and I was like, okay, and they were doing submissions and all. Nobody knew what submissions were. They were doing takedowns, and they were basically just killing each other. And I was like, let me in on this. let me jump in. And even I was like, I remember the first time I seen John. John was there, and he was the smallest out of them all. I was like, yeah, I'll ask him for a little go and see how I get on. John was like, no, I'm going to go with the bigger guys. And then I watched John go with the bigger guys, and I was like, well, oh yeah, I did well to get out of that one. You know what I mean? It was so good. But yeah, so we jumped in there, and I was doing it. And then what happened was with Colester, Andy's gym kind of closed down after a couple of weeks, and I was like, where can I go? And Dave Roach is also from Ballymun.
Yeah,
he would have been one of the main guys. He's coaching now. He's back coaching, which is great to see. But growing up, and when we were doing it, he was one of the top dogs in Europe. You know what I mean? Scary dude. And he's from Ballymun, so I got talking to him, and I was like, Dave, where are you doing it and stuff? He says, look, I do a little bit in my own shed, and then John has a shed in Phibsborough that we can try and get you to come down to. And so I used to go down to Dave. Dave used to punch the face off me in his shed in Slough Gardens, and then we used to go into John's, and then, you know, I loved John's. I loved the way he teach, the way he was teaching his classes. He had a good mind for it, and then I kind of just stayed there, and that's where I planted my seeds, you know. But it was MMA. It was mainly. And I was basically MMA. We were focusing more so on the ground because it was new and you could get an advantage there. But you were just going in, punching each other in the face, trying to kill each other.
So how many people were showing up to the infamous sheds back then?
And maybe 8 or 10, maybe.
Yeah.
The other time you couldn't fit any more than 10 to 15, but good hardcore group, 8 or 10, you know. Then you used to have, which was mad, you used to get these like guys coming in, testing to see if it actually worked. Like, you know, you get a guy that was doing, you know, ninjutsu or doing taekwondo and stuff, and it was like, that stuff they used to do doesn't work, and then they'd come down the gym and they'd leave, you know, head down, tail between the legs, or they'd stay and say, I need to learn this. And then you just had this group of people coming from all different backgrounds, and as I said, some would stay, that realised, okay, there's something to be learned here, and then some people would go.
It's funny that you mentioned the sheds, because even before I left, a lot of the hardcore guys were all meeting in sheds. I used to go down to Phibsborough there was a European kickboxing champion named Jerry Kidd, the Cisco Kid, and he had a shed that was infamous too. And I was the in fact, I think I was the only kid. I mean, I was probably 14 at the time that got an invite in there, but there was like fucking damn near murders committed in that shed.
Yeah.
Because we just didn't know. It was just go in there and survival of the fittest and mad.
And anxiety, but look, I mean, I think that's a good thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Like, maybe the way we sparred wasn't a great thing, and the way we fought wasn't a great thing. Now I think we're a bit more intelligent. But to be putting yourself in a situation where you're feeling anxiety and you're feeling nerves and you're still pursuing through that, that's an interesting thing, you know what I mean? That's something that I think every day people are shying away from, and the people that don't shy away from it become successful. Do you know what I mean? That's something I really believe, you know, and I think stuff like that. I remember not even the shed. I was a young kid. I was at the bottom of the barrel. You know, I was small. I was 61 kilo. Smallest guy there. Didn't know anything, but enthusiastic and good. Mad to have a knock. Always losing, but always making it harder each time. So take me 30 seconds to get submitted the first time. Next week it was 40. The week after that it was a minute. 6 months down the line, it's like, you didn't catch me that round. A year down the line, it's like, hold on, now I'm getting top of the landing shots or whatever. So that was my gauge of how I would progress. But even when we had the team in Longmore, the infamous, the Irish team that went on to the UFC and did brilliant, I used to drive over there for sparring and be thinking of ways to get out of sparring. Like, in my head, I'd be like, if I just hit the pot with the car and force me to fire, at least I don't have to walk and spar these guys. Because it was that intimidating. I would never do it. I'd be like, I'll just drive past the exit. Just drive past the exit, tell them you can't make it. But that was because you were going into a gang of killers, and you knew every round was going to be tough. You knew every round you were never going to get a break. But it built character.
Love that. So when did you transition then from, kind of just fighting in the gym to actually fighting in the ring?
It wasn't long. I was training maybe about a year or so, and I started competing. I got very good at jiu-jitsu with John. John was kind of the best guy in the country for jiu-jitsu at the time, and I got really good really quick. There was no there was a novice team that I ended up having like one normal fight, like a pro fight. There was no amateur kind of thing back then. I had to have one fight within about a year, maybe 12, 14 months, and then kind of from there was a novice kind of thing that I did as well, where there was no headshots, but it was terrible, but it was a good experience. And then it was straight into pro. No amateur staying back in Ireland. And I had always confidence in my jiu-jitsu. So after maybe one or two fights, I was like, I'm going to stand and see how I get on here in stand-up fight. And we used to bring in Paddy Clint. Do you know Paddy Clint?
I know the name.
Yeah, he had a gym he used to train in Bridgestone. He fought for Bridgestone in town there, and then he had his own gym, Triple Stack. He used to come down and teach a bit with John's, and then he actually linked up with John for a long while. I did a lot of toy boxing, did a lot of boxing, and just wherever was going. But I loved striking, you know what I mean? I just fell in love with hitting people, and just haunting them. There's a difference between subbing somebody and haunting them with strikes, and I just enjoyed it. So that's where I kind of started to find my feet and started to enjoy that,
Awesome. So then how long did that MMA career last for you, and when did you start to transition to coaching?
So I went in 1.5, probably 1.5 years I started fighting, and I fought for maybe 14 years. And I was always kind of coaching as well. Within a year or two, I started teaching John's kids classes. Just to make a few bob, and I couldn't really afford to pay for the classes, so I'd sweep the mats and mop the mats for him every week and teach some kids classes. And so I always was teaching kids and stuff and competing at the same time. But as I got a little bit older, and when I started to get to my 30s and stuff like that, I started to feel that I always just wanted to get one fight in the UFC. I was competing at a very high level, but when I was fighting and competing, Conor and all were coming up underneath me, and they were watching me fight on the European stage and fight UFC veterans and stuff like that. And I was kind of the guy they went to for advice and stuff like that. I would always try and help them. But then my career slowed down. I focused on coaching, and they all came up. I've been coaching just kind of my own guys for the past 7 years now.
Now, you fought Cage Warriors, right?
I fought Cage Warriors, Cage Contenders. Yeah, I fought all around Europe, Slovakia, like all mad places, to be honest. But and then in Ireland and the UK as well. But I loved every minute of it.
And you won some titles along the way too?
Yeah, I was the Cage Warriors 66 kilo champion for over a couple of years, and I fought UFC veteran Shannon Goody on that. I fought a couple of times, won the belt and defended it 2 or 3 times. But that was me kind of. In Ireland, Cage Contender was the first show on TV. It's the first show that you're bringing guys in, international guys to fight. So I was kind of the poster boy for that. Then I fought in Cage Warriors. I only fought in Cage Warriors once. It was against Wilson Hayes. I cut down to 61. I felt phenomenal at that weight. A great fight with him. I lost in the third round, but I remember coming out of that fight afterwards and thinking, Jesus, man, I can really hold my own. Like, Wilson was, world jiu-jitsu champion. He fought in Elite FC and all of these huge shows, and then he went on to the UFC and fought for the UFC title and stuff like that. So it was a big eye opener for me that I could hang with these guys, and I was winning. I was coming into my own. I made a mistake, got caught for it, but you know what I mean. There was nowhere in that fight where I felt like I was ever outskilled. So then after that fight, I realised I had a couple of injuries and stuff like that, and unfortunately I kind of had to retire. So it's a bit of sweet, you know what I mean, because it was an eye opener. And then, as I said, my goal was to be in the UFC, just to wear the gloves, and I had to retire. So for about 6 to 8 months, I tried to figure out how I could get around it. I couldn't kind of get around it. To make the decision, made the decision that I wasn't going to fight again. And bittersweet, but then I just said, look, okay, let's get down another road and become a coach and take it from there,
So just as a comparison then, like, obviously there's mad money available nowadays, some of the fighters can truly be professional in that it's their only job. What kind of money were you making per fight back then?
God, I was losing money on fights, to be totally honest. I remember my first fight, I think it was 25 sterling. It cost me 50 quid to get up and get back, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was terrible. Yeah, I think the most I ever got was 1,200 quid. And that was big money. I was, I was walking around flicking that money out, thought I was a pimp, you know what I mean? 1,200 quid. And then I was getting a $5 a ticket. So I used to sell a lot of tickets, so I did make a few bob on tickets. I mean, yourself, at Ballymun, they get behind you and stuff. So I'm just finding case tenders. And in Dublin, I would sell probably 400 tickets. And the place would be upside down with people going nuts. So we'd make a couple of quid on that, but yeah, maybe $2,000, $2,500. You know what I mean? For 8 weeks of sacrifice. But I wasn't doing it for the money back then, and I was doing it with a long-term goal, and I was getting closer and closer to that goal. So, but now guys are getting good wage. Fair play to them. It's about fun.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So when you retired, then was it your plan to coach professionally, or how did that happen for you?
Yeah, no, it was always my plan to coach. You know what I mean? I think it's just, and for me, I always felt from teaching the kids, I was very patient. I knew that you couldn't expect too much of people straight away, so I was very patient. I knew how to break things down, and I know just to get people that are training regularly and get small steps out of them. So, they've learned how to move their feet correctly today. They've learned how to hold a position, or, they learn the concepts of, why we pay in, and, simple things. Teaching kids, you have to start like that. So I always knew that I was going to transition into coaching, and I was always just waiting for that opportunity, And I was teaching, even when I was teaching in John's and helping John's fighters and stuff like that, I started to get a core team myself over the north side in that smaller gym that I had there, Mick, that you visit.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like about 50, 60 guys that were doing all right, and now I'm starting to develop a nice team now, so I'm excited about the future.
Awesome. So you two talk about Ballymun. People here in the United States probably don't know much about that. I honestly don't know much about that. Is there something like a city or a town or something that would kind of
here?
Yeah, that people might understand what that is.
Well, Ballymun was like Europe's first experiment with high-rise project housing, essentially, like low-income housing. And I mean, the when they were made in the 60s, these flats were beautiful. I mean, they had central heating, so like most homes didn't have heating. These came with central heating, so it was touted to be kind of the next wave of, you know, how you manage space and cities. But it kind of turned into this kind of crime-infested, very, very tough neighborhood. You know, I always gauge, you know, there's a pub on every corner in Ireland, but for the whole of Ballymun, we had two, the Towers and the Penthouse. And that's because it was just too rough of a place. Like, most pub owners were like, yeah, I'm not putting my pub there. It'd be robbed every week. And, you know, it'd be like someone from Chicago growing up in like Cabrini Green, you know, or someone from LA growing up in Compton. You know, I guess that would be probably the comparison, right?
Yeah, well, it's true. Like, it was the heroin came into Ballymun in the 80s, and it just swallowed up the whole city. Like,
yeah, Ballymun was the heroin capital of Europe in the 80s.
Okay,
so that might give you an idea. And Ballymun, like, geographically, was probably about maybe 8 miles wide, maybe. It wasn't a big place. But it's funny because, like, even now when I've been here in the US for, you know, over 30 years, and I'll meet Irish people all around this country, like people that were born in Ireland, and, you know, you're shaking hands with them and they're like, oh, where'd you grow up? And I go, Ballymun, and they yank their hand out of your hand like I'm about to steal their rings. Like, it still carries this weight of like, oh shit.
Because you did try and steal their rings, Vic.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. No,
So it still has this aura about it, you know, like, oh shit, you survived Ballymun. You didn't just grow up there. You tried to survive it. But
yeah, it's a different. But you know what? I always said, like, the people in Ballymun, they get behind you as well, because everyone, like, we're all in this area it's tough going, and, you know, unemployment is huge, and homelessness is huge, and, you know, it's still drug infested, and there's gang crime, and, you know, it's getting a lot worse as well. You know, kids 14, 15, you know, shooting each other every week. You know what I mean? It's getting really bad still, but they like to see somebody get out and somebody put us on the map. So when I was fighting, and even now, when I was fighting, they all came out in the droves to get behind me. They all were like, oh, you're doing serious things for the community. It's great to see you know. And we have Philly McMahon, which is the place for the Dublin GAA team and stuff like that came from Ballymun. We've got some, you know, a lot of really good people. Glenn Hansard is the singer, is one of those guys. He came from Ballymun and stuff like this. And Bono was from Ballymun, but just a little bit further down from Ballymun. But, like, they get behind you when you're doing good, because they're like, they want everyone underneath you to see how well you're doing and take that path, but it's difficult. And then when I was coaching Conor, and when the transition from sparring partner to coach came along, and I was traveling around the world, every single person in Ballymun is like, you know, so proud of me, you know what I mean? And there was this little meme going around that when you go to war or something like that, they were saying, when you're going for a fight, you always bring a Ballymunner in your corner. And that was going around everywhere, like a picture of Conor, because, you know what I mean, they were kind of relating that to me. But yeah, man, I love it. I'm still in Ballymun, I still live here, so I love it, you know what I mean?
Well, one of the stories that I will tell sometimes is there was actually, I think he was a Shotokan karate guy. He was the butcher in the Ballymun shops. Desi Kavanagh was his name.
Right.
And when I had fights coming up, when my ma would go to the butcher and he knew I had fights coming up, he would give my mom liver to cook for me. Now, we didn't have a pot to piss in Yeah, we could barely afford meat. But when that guy knew that I was fighting, he'd be like, hey, give the young lad this. And he'd give my mom liver because everybody back then thought if you eat liver, it's going to be great for your muscles and your blood and all this stuff. So this guy, every time, like without fail, when I had fights and they found out in the neighborhood, he would slide my mom a little piece of liver, give that to the young lad. So yeah, totally they get behind you.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, totally.
That's amazing. Like, and you don't get that anymore, really. Everyone, like, the sense of community is dying now.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
we're being split up into smaller factions or something like that. Like, where Ballymun, yeah, it was chaotic and it still is, but it's still we still have a decent community. It's not as big as it was, and it's not as vibrant as it was, you know, but that sense of community is gone. Like, you don't get that anymore. Couldn't get down to Tesco's, or you couldn't go into Walmart and the bloke there be like, oh, this guy's fine, throw him a bit of protein, or, you know what I mean? It's just that back then it was different, you know what I mean? The good old days.
Yeah, no, they definitely were. And so you went to the comp too, right?
Yeah.
It's still around.
Had a few strangers, a few fist fights out on the hill.
On the hill, that's right.
Yeah,
that's where disputes were settled. You would, knock in the schoolyard or wherever, and then you'd be like, okay, on the hill after school. And it would be, it was like gladiatorial, circles of people around you while you went at it. And then once it was over, it was usually over, you know.
That's it. Done deal.
Yeah.
Slowed down, threw a few things at each other, and then went back, and it was all good. Like, the comp was one of those places as well that, you bring in, in Ballymun, there's 5 or 6 areas, like there's Coultry and Shangang and Salog and Poppintree and Balcurris and Belclare and stuff like that, and there's these kind of areas, and then you're all funneled into the comprehensive. Friendships are made, and there's little feuds and stuff, and you have a fight, and then you all build together. I've friends from all over Ballymun that I went to school with there.
Awesome. So from Ballymun to coaching one of the biggest athletes in the world on what ended up being the biggest pay-per-view in history. So Mick probably has some more specific questions on this topic, but coaching Conor for the Mayweather fight, let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, insane.
So how did you find out about it?
I first, the talk started, and I was like, this is insane, this is never going to happen. Mayweather, Conor fight Mayweather. And then, when I found out that Audie was negotiating, I was like, oh shit, like...
Audie's Conor's manager.
Yeah, sorry, so he was negotiating, he was in contact with the management of Mayweather, and Dana was involved. I was like, I says, once they start talking, this is it. Because there's too much money to be made with these two, this huge crossover, this once in a lifetime event or spectacle, do you know what I mean? So once they start talking, I was like, okay, this is gonna happen. I was a bit like, geez, I don't know, like, will Mayweather just take that risk and have somebody come in that nothing about, and somebody has knockout power and stuff like that. So I was still a little bit skeptical, and then I went into the gym one day, and there was negotiations, and I was like, okay, we still don't know where it's 100%. And I walked into the gym and was like, yeah, it's a done deal. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be insane. This is going to be the maddest thing ever. And then it's like, okay, I had to, like...
I'm the striking coach, oh shit.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I used to go against Mayweather, the fucking, one of the best clinical boxers, like one of the most smartest fighters ever. I was like, how do we? I was like, but this is going to be amazing. If you can crack that code, man, you're a genius. Do you know what I mean? And I just enjoyed it, and there was so much pressure, and I was worried at first. But there's one thing: every time I worry, I say to myself, if I give it everything I possibly can, if I do everything in my, in my power, to be prepared for a fight like that, then I can't ask for anything else, and I don't care what anyone else thinks, you know what I mean? And I did that, but it was insane. So I started watching tape and stuff like that. But yeah, it was insane. It was an insane time.
So what was the typical training camp like then? Because I know it's going to be different than the other ones.
Yeah. So the way it started was we were. I was like, okay, the fight is signed. So I was like, okay. I went and got all Mayweather's fights, every single one of them, and started watching them. And for me, I just started trying to see tells. You know what I mean? Watched how he fought a little bit early on in his career, and then watched how he fought a lot smarter as he got older. You know what I mean? And we started to develop a game plan. Unfortunately, what we had to do was once the fight was announced, the gym was just people standing outside the gym all hours. So we actually got another gym a little bit down the road, and we had to train, at crazy hours. We never knew when we were training, because if you set your time at 10 o'clock in the morning and 10 p.m. in the evening, a bit between, people would know that. So we were sporadic with the way we were training. We got a full choice boxing ring in. We got Olympic ref in to ref the spars. We got and then we started bringing in fighters. So we started bringing in amateurs to start, just to get Conor. Like we had to figure out whether Conor could actually. Like I know Conor could box, and he boxed for a long time in Crumlin and stuff like that. No, I know he can box 100%. Sure, the boys in Crumlin knew he could box, and anyone that sparred him knew he could box. But then you need to, as they say, he hasn't just boxed in a long time. So we brought in the amateurs, and he was doing great. It landed on everybody, and outdoing everybody. And then we slowly started to bring in professional fighters and stuff like that, and build it up to eventually getting it to when we went to Vegas, getting Paulie in and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But the camp didn't really change that much to the way any camp would go. We had our core group, which we always do. Me, John. It was kind of me and John, and then the strength and conditioning guys, Crom and Doc. We had sparring partners and the core group. That never really changes. It was just we were throwing out takedown defense, kicks, knees, ground game, wrestling. We were just throwing all of that out, and then we were trying to devise a plan that would be a little bit different to what Mayweather would have seen before. Do you know what I mean? So, we were trying those sneaky things like bumping the hips off and catching the hip and getting behind them, and when you're entering into the clinch, being a real bully in the clinch, because a lot of the time when in boxing, they'll enter into the clinch and boxers nearly switch off.
Yeah, they just accept it.
You know what's going to happen. It's not like a Thai box. You can't switch off in the Thai boxing in the clinch, because you're going to get cut up to bits. But in boxing, because they're expecting the ref to come in and break it, there's nearly your brain switches off for a second now. And we were like, you'll have little opportunities in there where you can capitalise on some shots. And when he's shelling up and covering up, you could bump to the back and he'd hold his hip for a second. You can't hold and strike. But we were like, you can hold the hip and bump him off and hit him from behind nearly. Okay, because just, once you don't hit him in the back of the head, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
So we were devising little things like that. And, we were developing the game plan.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that frustrated me about the fight, was that he kept slipping behind him and he wasn't throwing illegal strikes, but the ref kept stopping it. Because, I don't know. It was unfortunate, because that was part of our game plan and stuff like that. But, it doesn't make a difference, really. Mm-hmm. What happened in the fight. I honestly believe Conor made an amazing showing of himself. To go in there in what did we have, maybe 12 weeks, maybe 10, when you think about everything, to go in and fight one of the best pound for pound boxers to ever lace up the gloves, and go in and give him trouble. Until statistics don't lie. People will say Mayweather was toying with him and stuff. I don't believe that. Mayweather was coming out, he was going forward, he was landing strikes. Conor, what we were trying to do was, in my opinion, I was like, okay, Conor, when we all sit down together,
it's never just me saying things or Conor just saying things. We all sit down together, and we came up with the idea that when he'll come in and meet you in the middle, and he'll try and outbox you straight away. And I was like, Conor, I don't care who it is. If he throws a shot at you, you're quick enough to slip and fire back. And Conor had moments where he was slipping and landing. And then we were like, okay, then he'll probably change up his strategy, because Mayweather, he's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, he's a chameleon.
Yeah, exactly. Like he'll do one thing, and then when he finds that doesn't work, he'll do another thing, and he'll have other options in there. So we're like, he'll come out and he'll try and box you. You'll land shots. He'll probably change it up. He'll probably sit back and play a little bit of Philly shell and try and shoulder roll. I think you can punch him, put him up against the ropes and bump off and get towards his back and land shots there. And then he'll sit on the ropes maybe and cover and make you fire shots. I still think you can get off the centre and land shots there. But I didn't realise, which he didn't cop until the fight was happening, was him walking Conor down and letting Conor burn the candle. He hands wide, Mexican style, walking forward. And in the fight, we should have had this prepared. It was a mistake on all of our parts, but we should have had this prepared that he might do that, and Conor might have to, take a round or two off and regroup and stuff like that. Conor doesn't really fight like that. Conor's a knockout merchant. He's a sprinter, so he'll always go forward. And sometimes I was like, just throw a jab and just be on your bike and stuff like that. And Conor would throw maybe 3 or 4 shots, and Mayweather would catch them all, and then Conor would take a step back, and Mayweather put the pressure on, and Conor's just his energy went. You know what I mean? It was very, very smart. That's why Mayweather is who he is. But it was the first time we did it. It was the first time we ever got in a boxing ring. You know what I mean? We learned a lot from it, and I definitely think we could do it if it ever was to happen again. I don't think it will, but never say never. I definitely think we could prepare a little bit better. You know what I mean? Because there was mistakes made. There always is mistakes made, but definitely think we could address them.
All right, now I have a question. Obviously, that was a first on many levels. It was also a first for me to see 3 cornermen wearing a 3-piece suit in the corner. So tell us, how did all that come down?
Listen, when I look back on it, it's all right, but God, I was so embarrassed. I was like, when I seen what they were putting us out in, I was like, oh my God, people are going to fucking slaggers and laughers and all. I was like, we look like a load of fucking 1980s snooker players. Do you know what I mean? From fucking, I was like, I look like fucking
Alex Higgins.
Or something like that. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is a bit weird, man. I don't like it. And that was obviously Conor has his own line with August McGregor. You know what I mean? David August and Conor have been working together for a long time, and they came up with this plan to come up with something different. But they didn't tell us until we got the stuff put in front of us. I was like, put me in a tracksuit any day, man. I live in tracksuits all day, every day, man. That's how I roll, you know what I mean? So when they put us in that, I was like, oh my God, it looks a bit mad. But then now when I look back on it, I was like, they actually look pretty slick, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's definitely grown on me. And you know what? I will say Conor's ahead of the curve, and so is August McGregor, man. What they're doing with their suits and stuff is top line. But so maybe I'm just a little bit behind the curve. But
well, it kind of reminded me of a throwback to like the bare knuckle days. You know, like my great granddad's Mickey Finn, the famous bare knuckle fighter from the Phoenix Park.
Jeez.
And so we took that idea. Actually, our logo, the Gentleman Badass logo, is basically a guy like a waistcoat, knuckles up, kind of a throwback. So it did actually remind me of them, of that kind of throwback era to boxing, when you'd literally roll up your shirt sleeves and have a knock,
Get in and get it done, yeah. No, it was, yeah. We did look slick, man, I will say. Yeah, but at first I was a bit like, oh, jeez, I don't know. Because it's new. And when something's new, you're kind of always a little bit reluctant to go in there. But it was what it was. Kind of was like, I was kind of, what do you think of the suits and all? And I was really hoping he would say, jeez, no, I don't like that, man. Just do something, wear something else. And we were in there, and I was like, what do you think of the suits? He's like, I think that's deadly look. And I was like, yes, oh boy. So yeah, but that was a force as well.
Awesome.
But Conor always does that as well. Sorry to cut across, but you look at everybody now. Conor was kind of one of the first guys to be wearing suits at the UFC press conferences and stuff like that. And now everyone's at it. You know what I mean? So he's definitely a trendsetter, man. He's always ahead of the curve in that regard, as well as his fighting IQ.
So when did you know that he was kind of because every coach is looking for that special talent, I mean, Angelo Dundee has a quote that I use all the time, that a coach is only as good as the guy on the stool in front of him.
Yeah.
When did you have that kind of aha moment with him?
Well, I was still fighting, and me and Conor, the way our relationship grew was we were sparring partners, and I was always better at the jiu-jitsu. I was a better all-round MMA fighter when he first came in. He just got good hands, you know what I mean? But what Conor always had was belief. Like, you would submit Conor, like, within 30 seconds when he first joined, but he'd still get up and look at you, like, as if to say, I'm still better than you. He just had this, like, bulletproof confidence. And then the way it progressed was, Conor, like, you'd be like, okay, can't really just stand with Conor. Like, you can't stand and throw hands with Conor because he'll damage you quickly. So the way we'd spar was I'd have to, okay, then I'd start just using kicks and stuff and keep him away with kicks and, teeps and spoil it and get into the clinch enough to take him down. And, you know what I mean? And then he get better at defending the kicks and start to develop his own kicks. And like, oh, Jesus Christ, man, now he's got good kickboxing and stuff. Fuck it, I'll just enter into the clinch and keep taking him down. And then you take him down and stuff. And, you submit him on the ground. Then you start getting better at defending the submissions, defending the takedowns. And you're like, fuck, now it's starting to get really, really difficult here. And then your only option would be to keep him on the ground and stuff and maybe get a submission. And then he just got really good on the ground as well. And then you're like, fuck this, man. You know what I mean? This guy's a killer. But, you see that with everybody. We don't see somebody that believes in their ability from day one, even though, they're being submitted or they're being beaten and sparred. But he just knew. I think in his head he was like, I'm just going to figure this shit out, and then I'm going to start knocking people out. And once he went in, and then he went in and had his first fight. And I was the main event. It was in the Ringside Club. National Boxing
Stadium, yeah.
Yeah, in the stadium. I was main event. Conor turns up late, as always, but like he's not even going to turn up. He's fighting in 15 minutes. Strolls in. John is like, where the fuck, where? He's like, I was just chilling out at home, yourself. When am I up? 15 minutes. All right, grand, lovely. Threw on a pair of bleeding Bermuda shorts, mad looking things. Went in and just flattened this lad, with hands. And I was like, he just has this aura about him. And it just built from there. And he just started, he just started developing. In the background, he was always training, always working on jiu-jitsu. At first, he hated jiu-jitsu, so we tried to avoid it. And then he fell in love with it. And once he fell in love with jiu-jitsu, everything just fell into place. Because at first, like anything, when you resist, it's not good. But when you embrace something, everything grows. And he went to Iceland. He lost the fight against Joe Duffy in Cage Warriors. He was on a tear. I think he knocked 5 people out in a row. And then he fought Joe Duffy. Joe Duffy was only the Ultimate Fighter, and he lost. He lost the fight previous to that. He got leg locked. I did his corner for that in GAA Hall in Crumlin. And it was a big, coming out shot fight for Conor. He was high up the card. He was fighting an international fighter for the first time. It was in Crumlin where he lived. His family and all were there. I was doing a corner, and he got leg locked, and it was fucking heartbreaking. Because he was still a scrapper back then, and he didn't see. I was screaming at him because the guy was setting up a leg lock, and Conor was still hitting him like it was a fist fight. He was fighting emotionally. He just wanted to kill the guy. He was a brute, but he didn't see what was going on. Me on the outside, me and Clive Staunton did his corner, and I was like, he's attacking the leg, pull out there, pull out there, pull out there, pull out there, and the guy was in a little slick leg lock, and he leg locked Conor, and Conor went missing for a while. Then he didn't come back training, and he was disheartened, and you know, I'm sure he was a bit, you know yourself when you're fighting in your hometown and all your friends are there and you lose. I've had it happen to me. You feel a little bit embarrassed. You feel like you've let everyone down. And he went missing. And then he came back after a couple of months. He started training hard, went on another little one, and then that Joe Duffy fight came along, and he lost again. But the difference was he was back in the gym on Monday. He fought the Saturday, came back to the gym on Monday. I was like, what's the story? I was expecting to go missing for a while again. He says, fuck it, I made some mistakes and I'm just going to focus on this jiu-jitsu thing and just get it right. And the attitude changed, the mentality changed, and then he went straight to Iceland. Spent a couple of months in Iceland and came back. And I think he just cleared his head over there and he came back motivated, calm, and came back, I think, realising, and people need to realise this because I've got some lads fighting from Ballymun and they're emotional fighters and they think it's a fight. When you're in the cage, it's not a fight, or when you're in the ring, it's not a fight. It's a competition.
It's a contest, yeah.
It's a contest. It's about outsmarting your opponent. It's not about being overly aggressive because guys can, everybody has an answer for an aggressive fighter. Everybody has an answer for a timid fighter. But it's back and forth. You've got to be strategic in how you approach fights. And he came back and he was smart, and he knew how to. He just knew how to fight and be smart on how he fight. And then just we jumped on this roller coaster and then went all over the place on it. You know what I mean?
Awesome. So that was a while ago now at this point, and things have kind of changed a little bit for you. You got your own gym now.
I do indeed, yeah.
From the research that I was doing, I think was it about a year ago that opened?
Yeah. So I had the gym. I've been coaching guys in small gym for a long time, for 7 years. You know what I mean? But last year, I my energy levels were low. I was working 7 days a week, and what I was doing was I was going Monday to Friday. I would get up early. I teach classes in my own gym, the one you visited, Nick. I would do classes every morning there. Then I would get home, I'd pick up the kids from school, bring them home to the house, have a little bit of dinner, go to John's, teach from 4 till 7 in John's, then drive on the M50, go to back to my gym and teach from 7:30 till 10. And then on Saturdays and Sundays I would go out to Malahide and I would do like private classes in a little gym that I had set up out there. So I was doing that for seven days a week, non-stop, all day, every day, still trying to train myself. And I was starting to, be honest, I was starting to get a little bit anxious, you know what I mean, thinking of the week ahead, and I was like, I don't think I can get through this. And if I didn't sleep, let's say I woke up at 12 o'clock and I didn't sleep till 5 in the morning, I was like, I'm not going to be able to deal with it this week. So it was wearing thin on me, and I was like, I have to jump into committing to myself here. So I said to John, look, in the next 6 months, I'm out. I gotta go. I gotta clear some time for myself, for my family, and be motivated when I'm teaching my own guys. Because by the time I was getting to my guys in the evening, I wasn't giving them what they deserve. Do you know what I mean? So I gave him the 6 months. We trained in some other guys, and then I had an opportunity to move into this big gym that I felt my guys also deserved. You know what I mean? And that was a year ago today, and I can't really. I've never been happier, to be totally honest. Now I miss all the guys in John's as well, because I put so many years into all the guys over there as well. Like I've taught his kids program, and most of the kids that I started with are some of his professional fighters now and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So I miss all of them. I miss how well they're doing, but I had to make the leap, and now I'm starting to develop my own guys. Now I have a couple of pro fighters already, and they're fighting on big shows like Bellator and stuff like that. So I'm excited now, and I've got some. I'm involved in my kids program as well. Like I really think that if you watch boxing clubs, you watch football clubs or soccer clubs and stuff. You got to get the kids early, and you have to have them ready to be pro by the time they're 18. Because if you get a kid that's 18, that knows everything and has loads of amateur fights, when they're 18, 19, if they're wise in years in competition, then they always have that edge over. Well, not always, but they're inclined to have that edge over the older guy. And if you watch all professionals now, they're all young and fit and stuff like that. So I'm putting a lot of time into my kids now. We've got junior world champions now as well. Last weekend, we had them over in the first ever cadets junior world championships, and my team personally got 2 gold and 1 bronze. 2 gold and 1 silver. I also have another junior world champion, Jerry Harris, who won it last year. And so I'm starting to develop a good team, so I'm very, very excited.
Awesome. Any names we should be looking out for?
Yeah, so at the moment, professionally wise, I've got Ryan Curtis, 5-1, fought Bellator. Really clean fighter, good finisher. Liam McCourt now as well, fights there Bellator. She's fighting in September. She's 2-1, but she's an amateur world champion, and as well. So she's only coming up the ranks. Of Ian Cleary, he's a professional fighter, very exciting fighter. Dean Barry, he fought on Titan in Florida. Traditionally, he's a kickboxer, points kickboxer, very unique style, Wonder Boy style. He's 2-1, so they're only new, but they're exciting. Like Dean, and the finishers as well, and which I like. I want guys to be going in and putting it all on the line in there. Go in and look for the finish and do your very best to get it. You know what I mean? Don't be going in there holding people down and pinning them, or lining up against the cage, or hitting them running and just trying to score a win.
Now you brought up Bellator there. Bellator are doing a big push to kind of snap up European talent. That's got to be exciting for those kind of partnerships developing over there.
Most definitely, yeah. Bellator, they're hitting the European scene big, you know what I mean? And it's something that the UFC did a while ago, a couple of years back, when they were doing the tours around Europe and stuff like that. But they've kind of stopped it as of lately. And Bellator are trying to jump in and fill that void, and they're doing a good job. They're doing a very good job. They're putting on competitive fights, and people are motivated. Fighters are getting paid well and stuff like that. So it's exciting times, and they're regularly over in Ireland. They're back in September. I have one fight confirmed, and hoping to have. So Liam McCourt is fighting. That's my fighter, and hoping to get Ryan Curtis on the card as well. He fought last year with a good finish, good TKO finish. And so it's a big push. It's great to see huge organisations like that coming over. It'd be great to see the UFC come back sometime soon as well, but it's not looking very likely, especially with we don't have that many Irish fighters in the UFC. So that's one of my goals as well, to try and get one of my guys, homegrown guys, to that level as well.
So do you have like a 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plan? What does the future look like for Owen Roddy? Do you think about that stuff far ahead, or?
Yeah, of course. My goal is to have a UFC, a homegrown. Look, I mean, I've done a lot of work with Conor to get him those belts. I did all the pad work, and we did all the striking, game plans and stuff like that. Conor, himself is phenomenal. He's got a great mind for it. And as you were saying, like, you're only as good as the person you're coaching. And Conor is just, he's got a smart mind. I've learned so much off him, watching him as well. I think when you get unbelievable fighters and fighters that have a great mind for combat, you learn so much yourself. I've learned so much from Conor as well. I'm sure he's learned a lot from me. Now I'm just looking at my young guys coming through now. And 5-year plan, I'd be very confident that I have guys fighting at the top level and compete for those big belts, those UFC and Bellator belts. There's lots of talent. It's just, I also say as well that the sky's the limit. Once you persevere, so let's say, 10 years, if you don't get injured, injury is the big one. If you have a motivated guy that's turning up to every class, and he's improving, he's making mistakes, he's learning from the mistakes, and he's moving forward, because you don't go anywhere without making a mistake. That's, it's not a straight line. It's a straight line until you hit that wall, and that's your mistake, and then you correct it and you move off it. You go another, couple of months and you make another mistake and blah, blah, blah. If you have somebody who's motivated and isn't afraid of failing and learning from their mistakes, and using your coach as somebody that will cut the learning curve in half, like myself and yourself, Mick, we've years and years of experience. So when a new guy comes in, because of all of our experience, it doesn't take him as long to get to where we got. We've made all those mistakes for him, and now we give him the fast track. What took us 20 years to get should only take him, 5 years or whatever, depending on how he goes about it. If he doesn't get injured, he doesn't get injured, stays motivated, doesn't worry about losses or failure, and keeps pushing forward, then the sky's the limit. Do you know what I mean? So I have guys there that at a young age that have bundles of potential. So we just gotta keep pushing and keep them improving.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we are about out of time. We need to get you off to your next thing. So we appreciate you stopping by. Any kind of final thoughts? Anything you want to leave us with?
No, I really enjoyed the chat, man. It's great, man. I'm happy to get on any time in the future. I hope to start listening. As I said, Nick, I didn't even know you did my podcast, but it'd be great to give me something to listen to in the evenings when I get in from work and stuff like that. And so I appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to getting on again sometime in the future, boys.
Absolutely. Love this talk. A lot of good stuff in it. So.
Well, I'm going to leave you with, right when the Conor Mayweather madness was going on, I sent him a message. I can't remember. I think it was one of the face-offs where kind of a melee broke out, and I saw you and Dylan kind of at the front of it, and I sent him a message, and it was something like, "Jesus Christ, man, this whole thing is mad." And he sends me back a message going, "We're just two lads from Ballymun taking over the world."
This is it. You know what? That's just something that myself and yourself would share, Mick. Unfortunately, there's not that much expected from lads from our area.
No.
And like when I first found out about you, Mick, that you were over in the States and you had what's that, Alexander?
Oh, Houston.
In the UFC, and I was like, oh my God, he's from Ballymun. He's somebody that I'm aspiring to be, like, you know what I mean? I want to be in the UFC, or I want guys to be in the UFC, and there's a guy that's done it from Ballymun. I was shocked, and then like when we met each other and stuff like that, but people like us aren't expected to do that.
No.
I just thought that we are doing it, you know what I mean? So, all I can say is, don't let where you come from hold you back. Don't let what people say hold you back, and keep striving forward, and who knows where you'll end up. Maybe in Vegas.
That's right.
Awesome. Great words to end on. Thank you so much for your time, and we definitely look forward to talking again in the future. So,
pleasure. Really enjoyed the chat. Great to catch up, guys. Thanks.
All right. See you soon, pal.